friends, and welcome back to Formal April. So today we're gonna do something super exciting, and it is an advent calendar with a macrame crescent moon. Oh, I really love to make macrame, and I hope you're gonna enjoy this tutorial and you're gonna know how to make a macrame moon for yourself. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell button to be notified when I post new videos. It's a Christmas time and most likely I'm gonna upload more than usual, and you don't wanna miss that. So we need to make a macrame crescent moon first, and let me show you how I did it. Put 5-inch and 7-inch rings together so they touch each other on the one side. Wrap the rope around both rings. Make sure it's very tight and rings don't move around inside. You can use masking tape to tape the ends to your work surface, and we'll deal with them later. Start working on the small ring. Make Lark's head knots throughout whole 5-inch ring. Make sure your thread is at least 4 times longer than the area you'll be working. My first ones ended up a bit shorter on the side and were difficult to tie in the end. So don't be cheap on the rope, it's better to cut it later than to be short. Calculate how many knots you have. I had 20 that I would use for small triangles, and the rest was just tied to the bigger loop. Spread the knots in preparation for triangles. I used 8 knots in the center to make the big one, and to make 2 smaller triangles on the sides, I used 6 knots. Group them together. Let's start with making large triangle in the middle. I feel it's better to start in the middle and make your way to the sides so you kind of know how much space you have left to work with. Take 4 threads at a time and make square knots. You'll need 4 square knots in the first row. To make a triangle, you'll combine them and make 3 square knots in the next row, then 2 and last 1. In this case, you'll get triangles. I already made one macrame video and I explain in full detail how to make a square knot and how to make a lark's head knot, so you can watch that also to get a better idea how to make these knots. Take another thread as a guide and finish off triangle with half hitch knots around the triangle. Then you need to take the next group of cords, in my case it was 6, and make 3 square knots. Continue making them to get to a triangle, which means the next row would have 2 square knots and the next one will have 1. and then finish off with half hitch knots. When 3 triangles were finished, I made a few half knots on the next ropes, but honestly, if I did it again, I'd rather leave it without, so to have the space like kind of cleaner. And then you just need to tie the ends to the outer loop. Connect all the threads to the larger loop with the half hitch knots. Make sure it's not loose or it will be hanging later. Put your threads under the big hook to make the job easier, and when you get to the end, make half hitch knots as well. It might be a bit uncomfortable to work in a tight space, but totally doable. Then I took off the rope that connected 2 loops in the beginning and made a long loop knot, since it looks cleaner. Then flip it over and let's deal with the ends. It's so funny because I never know what to do with loose ends. So I didn't find a better solution than just to cut it off like very shortly and use hot glue gun to glue the ends that were coming out, and so they're not seen from the front. It's a bag after all, so it doesn't matter if it's pretty or not, right? But what do you usually do with the bag of macrame and loose ends? Leave me a comment, I'd love to know the better solution for it. Then we had to make some stars. You have a few options how to make it, or rather what to use as a material. It's either salt dough or clay, or paper if you're in the mood to cut a lot of stars. Take the cookie cutters and make as many stars as you need. I made holes in them, but later regretted it since I had to put the thread through all of them. And then I kind of feel that the more simple way would be just to glue the thread on the back and just not worry about the holes. In this case, you wouldn't even have to worry about the holes being seen also. Smooth the edges so you won't have to sand it later and get a nice looking corners. I made my stars about like 1/4 of an inch thick, and I feel that they could be a bit thicker, so play with it and see what you like the most. And then hang the envelopes. So at first I got this bunch of craft pillow boxes from Amazon. I printed out and cut the tags, and yes, as I mentioned in my previous video, you can download the tags for free on my website. To tie MACRAME CRESCENT MOON to the 14-inch loop, I use the same loop knot. Make sure it's at least 2 or 3 inches so it's securely connected. It could also look good with evergreen branches, but when I used it last year, it had a very short life and didn't last for 24 days, unfortunately. Maybe because the heater was blasting near, but they dried up and started falling apart. So since eucaliptus dries nicely, I decided to give it a shot this year. So I didn't really like how this pillow boxes looked because it gave this image of like being too heavy on the bottom and being so light on the top. And instead I decided to use these 2x2 inch square boxes, which looks so cute and adorable. Isn't it amazing? It's moon and stars and eucalyptus branch. Isn't it cute, right? It reminds me a bit of the simplicity of Scandinavian Christmas decor, and I absolutely love it. It's so natural and beautiful, and my favorite kind. I'm not gonna tell you what I'm making for my husband this year because he's watching my videos and then he's gonna know, and the surprise is gonna be spoiled. But on my blog I have a post about like what I used and what I did a couple of years ago for his advent calendar, and it was more of a date nights ideas. So it was for 25 days and each day it was something special. So please go to my blog and see all these ideas for advent calendar for adults. I'm gonna leave you the link below in the description. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you love DIYs as much as I do, please hit the subscribe button and follow along my journey. I'll see you soon. Bye!